if we can start with this latest policy that we're hearing from China, the amount of about $500 per year per child for those aged under 3. This doesn't sound like very much or an incentive for people to be baby making.
Not at all. And I don't think it's even going to make a dent. I mean, I think a policy like that is just for show, but the government understands very well that this is a tide that they cannot address directly, but they have to appear as if they're doing something. To give you, as you mentioned, in 2016, there was a sudden blip in birth rates in China. But then after that, between then and 2024, it slowly but surely started to take a dip around 8% every year, to the point now where it's almost half where it was in 2016 at the peak, right? So they have to appear as if they're doing something about the collapsing birth rate that's taking place in China.
We talk about consumption and the need to boost it in China. Do you think that that'll do or make any difference in this regard, the $500 per year or $1,500 in total?
I don't, the picture that we see for consumption in China for the long term, we believe is not very rosy. I mean, you may see a blip here or there, but for the very long term, I don't believe that consumption is going to be a driver or a major driver of growth in China as the government would like it to be, even with such subsidies in place, etc. And it all boils down to the real estate market and how the real estate market needs to sort itself out. It's going to sort itself out in decades, right? And that is a primary driver of consumer confidence. So therefore, we're not very bullish on the fact that this is going to have a significant impact on consumer spending either.
So you bring up a good point about the housing. I mean, in order to have a family, you need to be able to house the family, and to be able to buy the property is another thing. Of course, these are structural issues. The cost of housing, the cost of education, all of these are issues that need to be addressed by the Chinese government. In terms of the property space and the struggling real estate market, what can be done there?
Nothing other than the fact that you need to let it flush itself out and for prices to stabilize. And we're starting to see a little bit of a bottom in cities like Beijing and Shanghai. But it's going to take a very long time for tier 2 and tier 3 cities, right, to flush all the extra inventory out. And that's a pretty long time for us or for the Chinese consumer to feel good. There's another factor as well, which is youth unemployment, right, which is at a high rate and definitely hitting hard at consumer confidence, right? But I don't think the government can do anything directly in order to solve the real estate problem. It has to sort itself out. And in order for it to do so, it's going to be taking decades.
And people also have to get married, and I'm looking at a statistic here that fewer people are getting married in 2024. 6.1 million couples registered for marriage, and that was down 20% year over year. So this is also a cultural shift that we're seeing, right? So they're maybe not even getting married or getting married later, delaying family formation. How can the government address some of these cultural issues?
Other governments have tried to address these cultural issues, as you know, as you mentioned, that is prevalent across the developed world, like Japan, Hungary, Russia, etc. It does not work. Such cultural issues are here to stay, and there's not much that a government can do to address this. You need to compound that with the fact that the rate at which China is urbanizing, right, 2/3 now have urbanized, and the number continues to tick up, is a very big factor in this whole idea of shifting your cultural beliefs or norms and delaying marriage and focusing more on work, etc., and trying to buy real estate, etc. So I don't think there's much a government can do there either.
And you recently met with the Ministry of Health in China and having a discussion about the elderly. So let's put the babies aside and look at another demographic, and that is for senior citizens. What is the country doing about this demographic?
Well, that is a significant component of what the future looks like in China. So just to give you a perspective, in 2030, the expectation is that there will be 400 million of folks over 60 in China. And of that 400 million, at the age of those at the age of 65 will be 300 million. That is more than the entire population of the United States. So this is a major concern for the government. As you can see, the government now is starting to shift from their investments in infrastructure, et cetera, so on and so forth. And we're seeing record numbers in terms of spending on social welfare, et cetera. And that will continue. But I think what we learned from the Ministry of Health is they've learned from the mistake of the fact that the healthcare system in China, you can make an argument, is subpar to where China is at right now. Right? And that's because the government has a chokehold on the whole system itself. That's not the way they're going to look at it, and they can't afford to look at it that way when it comes to managing the retirement community. They made it very clear to us that they're going to be focusing on the poor and the destitute, but they're looking for the private sector to pick up the slack for the middle class and middle upper class in terms of providing them the necessary infrastructure or ecosystem for their retirement. And that's definitely a market that's going to be growing. One area of China that's definitely going to be an area of growth and investment. But there's no question about it that the strain is too significant for the government to once again play the leading role in that area.